forecast for Friday, June 9th. So today we will see the moon in Aquarius energy go void, of course, shortly after midnight, and we'll be locking into this Pisces energy at 6:15 a.m. And of course, when the moon moves into Pisces energy, we are wrapping things up. We are bringing a little bit of an emotional inward reflection. We are calming down, we are resting, we are tying up loose ends and preparing for a brand new cycle. So we are going to see 11 different aspects pop off here today, and 10 of them are going to involve the moon. While the moon is still in Aquarian energy, before it goes void, of course, it's going to square off, getting into the boxing ring with Mercury. Mercury rules over our mental plane, our information, our communication, how it is that we're expressing ourselves, and moving through the final degrees of this Taurus energy. The moon is our heart space, our emotions, our intuition, our unconscious self. Mercury, ruling over the mental plane, definitely has a major focus on our narrative. Our heart and our head, not on the same page. That's why we're getting into the boxing ring. That's why we have to kind of see how far the gap is, how far the distance is between the two. And because Mercury in Taurus energy kind of has blinders on, very focused on just a small glimpse of our physical realm, our physical circumstances, and because the moon in Aquarius focuses in on the big picture, this is kind of why we are having this disconnect, why we're not on the same page, and why we're not in alignment. So the moon goes void, of course, shortly after. And while void, we have the moon in Aquarius making an aspect with Neptune. Now, Neptune is in his place of power in this Pisces energy. This is an opportunity for us to kind of align with our higher selves, be reminded of the dream, of the vision that we're looking to manifest. And of course, that moon in Aquarius energy, trying to act as the observer, to see the bigger picture at play and what it is that we have to do as far as a plan and strategy goes to move closer to the dream and the vision that we're actually looking to manifest. 6:15 a.m., this is when the moon will enter into Pisces energy. Keep in mind, we are very sensitive when the moon is in Pisces. Our intuition is heightened, our sensory experiences are heightened, our emotions are heightened. We can tend to live in a fantasy land, not wanting to deal with the nitty-gritty situations of reality, but we're feeling lots of feels, and we're going to have a lot of aspects with the moon in Pisces to refine those feels, bringing an ending, a closure to some of the cycles and circumstances that have popped off over this last month, and of course prepare us to enter into a brand new lunar cycle. So just a couple of minutes after the moon actually locks into this Pisces energy, we have the moon in Pisces making an interaction with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who is retrograde at the 0 degree in Aquarius energy, preparing to dip back into this Capricorn energy on the 11th. So this is definitely going to take us in our inner realm. Pluto needs to kind of do a deep dive in our psyche to really kind of unearth, peel back the layers on what it is that we're blocked on. Now, I'm going to say, typically speaking, most of the energies that are blocking us right now are fear, doubt, insecurities. Why? Because we're uncertain, we're unsure. We are not really that clear on what it is that we need to be doing. Therefore, confusion ensues, and we really have to get to the primary root cause of why it is that we're having a hard time actually formulating a plan, and why we're having a hard time closing the door, cutting the ties, breaking free from some of the situations and circumstances that we have obviously been illuminated to, that need to end, that need to die, that need to change, that need to transform. The moon in Pisces will be making a sextile, beautiful energy with the true node. Now, the true node is our soul path. It's our destiny point. This is a sextile, which means that this is a good energy. It's a favorable energy, which means that we, intuitively speaking, emotionally speaking, know what we're being called to pursue. Now, that doesn't mean that our ego self, our logical, practical selves agree with what it is that we're being called to, but we just have this feeling, this gut reaction on what it is that we need to do for ourselves, for our growth, for our healing, for our particular mission, purpose, and journey. The moon in Pisces will then interact with Venus. Venus, of course, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money. In Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac. So we're very focused on who and what brings us happiness, brings us joy. We are looking to express ourselves, our affections, our wants, our needs, our desires. Well, this particular energy is definitely going to bring up the feels. We are seeing a crossroads point, especially where some relationships are concerned. And as much as we didn't want endings, we didn't want detachment, we didn't want disconnection, many of us are in situations where we realize that the next phase, the next level of growth can only kind of be ventured into if we cut the cord with some of the relationships that we are absolutely identifying are hindering our growth, our, I'm going to say, advancement, our potential to actually move forward. The moon in Pisces will then semi-square Chiron. Now, this is going to bring up all kinds of feels, but not in the best way. Chiron, of course, the wounded healer, in a semi-square is a little bit of a tension point, a little bit of a conflict. We are having a hard time really recognizing where it is that the old version of ourselves is barely hanging on. We have changed so much. We have leveled up in our energies. We have jumped timelines. We have entered into new soul contracts. But the idea of who it is that we've been, who it is that we had to be, who it is that maybe we currently even still are, we're having a hard time letting go of that. We know full well that the next phase, the next level, the next chapter of our lives require us to boss up to new levels within ourselves, to new power, to new control, to new authority, to new leadership energies, and essentially really change who it is that we essentially are. This is the new version of ourselves that we're looking to put into practice, that we're looking to anchor in, that we're having a hard time doing because we're still desperately holding on to the hopes and dreams of the old version of self and what those particular circumstances got created out of. And of course, that was more egoically avatar-ish than our higher self. So we are trying to kind of bridge the gap on letting that ego self-made dream go in order for us to have the space to create something new that is more raw and real and authentic to our heart space. The moon in Pisces will sextile, beautiful energy, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings, who is in Taurus energy. So I love Pisces and Taurus energy for a couple of reasons, but here's one that I think is very applicable to this aspect. Pisces energy is the higher self. It's the dream, the vision, the idea, the inspiration that really gets downloaded into our highest form of intelligence. The Taurus energy is our physical realm. It's how we bring things to life. So essentially, we emotionally, because the moon is in Pisces, we are sitting in fantasy land. We are sitting in imaginary land. We are tapping into our creativity. We are being downloaded with dreams and visions and ideas and inspirations and motivations. In the Taurus energy that Jupiter is in for the next year gives us an opportunity to actually bring those ideas, dreams, and visions to life. We have to create opportunities for ourselves in our physical realm. We have to create a space for these elements to be able to be birthed into. We have to really see where it is that we have to kind of push ourselves outside of the boundaries of our comfort zone in order to build and create a reality that is based off of inspiration, that is based off of our higher selves, that is more in alignment with our soul self than it is our egoic self. So this is where we have the one aspect that doesn't involve the moon. This is Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, ruler of communication, how it is that we express ourselves, sextiling with Neptune. So as you know, Mercury is in Taurus energy. Neptune is in Pisces energy. We have another opportunity to really kind of see where the Pisces and Taurus energy are working together to bring forth new ideas, new dreams, new inspirations, and where we're actively trying to logically and practically piece together a plan, a strategy on how we're going to actually pursue these things. Now, Mercury is coming up with the idea, with the processing, with the logic, with the practicality. Neptune is trying to make the vision and the dream very strong in our mind space, in our soul space. Now, let me just say that this is definitely going to rattle up our imagination. We're reaching new levels of creativity here today. We have I'm going to say a sixth sense, which our intuition is anyways, but we know things and we tend to understand what it is that we have to do without being able to actually articulate or put into words what it is that we have to do. There's just like this sense of knowing, this sense of being compelled, this sense of being drawn in the right direction, if you will. And of course, with the moon in Pisces, our intuition is definitely heightened. Our sensory systems definitely peaked. We are very much tapping into a different level of our higher self, of our intuition, and able to add the practical, logical intellect that we need in order to bring some of these things to life. So it is going to be a very, I'm going to say, inspiring time. Might take a little bit of time for that spark to actually be realized and articulated and be able to actually do something with it. But there is a very strong sense of knowing, there is a very strong sense of understanding, and there's a very strong sense of being pulled in one direction over the other. So just as we fly high with that particular energy, the moon in Pisces is going to come up to, sit next to, team up with, and conjunct Saturn. Saturn, of course, in Pisces energy as well. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, structures, and foundations, and tends to bring a little bit of a reality check. So just as we were flying high, we are going to get brought back down to earth, but this isn't a bad thing because, again, we have another opportunity here to actually bring the dream, vision, idea, inspiration into our physical awareness. Saturn is here to show us where it is that we have to align our mind, our body, our soul with the belief system in ourselves that we have what it takes to create our realities for ourselves. That we have the ability to change our circumstances as long as we are building the right kind of belief, the right kind of mental plane, the right kind of inspiration and motivation to take action, and that we're willing to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty to rearrange our physical lives to align with the vision and the dream and the idea and the inspiration that we're currently being downloaded with. So yes, this kind of brings us back into the realm of reality, but it's not a bad thing when we are totally inspired, totally moved, totally, I'm going to say, compelled to follow a new mission and purpose, to come back down to earth, to logically and practically take a look at how it is that we are actually going to bring these particular visions and dreams to life. The moon in Pisces will be making a positive interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. And again, in Taurus energy. So we get another Pisces and Taurus collaboration. Uranian energy likes to open up our mind space. It's the highest form of our intellect, likes to download us with different perspectives, aha moments, ideas, inspiration, really changing the game, illuminating where it is in our physical realm we become overly attached to the way that things are or the way that things have been, knowing damn well that we have to make a change, not knowing where to start. But of course, we've had this vision, we have this dream, we are highly intuitive, tapping into new creative forces, and this Uranian energy is definitely going to provide us with a pivot point. You've been hearing me say that next week is going to open a very, very strong and intense acceleration in circumstances, in events taking place. We're making up for lost time. And this is essentially prepping us and preparing us to make that pivot, to supercharge us with the mental and emotional discipline and dexterity in order to see this particular path and change through. And we wrap up the day with the moon making a very positive aspect with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who in Leo energy is listening to that heart space, listening to that soul space. What we are kind of, I'm going to say, realizing with this particular aspect is that the moon in Pisces is picking up on some spidey senses that are kind of letting us know what it is that we need to do for ourselves in order to build a safe place in our physical realm where things are safe and secure and stable, and where we're able to actually focus on bringing to life, creating a physical realm and circumstances that are in alignment with our heart and with our soul.